Welcome back to video 3 in this series. If you haven't checked out video 1 and video 2 so far, I'd recommend you go back and check those out. In video 1, I walk you through exactly what to expect over the entire course of this winter blueprint system. And in video 2, I really debunk the myth of you have to ride these endless long hours over winter, that we can only focus on one thing, endurance, when that really is not true at all. Both them are well worth going back to check out. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about something that's of fundamental importance if you want to succeed this season. I made the bold claim at the end of the last video saying if you don't do this, you may as well put your bike on eBay for sale. A little bit tongue-in-cheek, but also grains of seriousness to that. It's strength and conditioning. For years, I'd heard people talking about building a strong foundation. You have to build a strong foundation over the winter. And I always misinterpreted that to mean you have to ride big mileage over the winter. In fact, if we look at the research now, what that means is you need to do strength and conditioning over the winter. If you're not doing strength and conditioning as in conjunction with your training, we call that concurrent, two of them at the same time. If you're not doing that over the winter period, you're not building a strong foundation. And let's use the house analogy for a minute. If you don't have a strong foundation on a house, you can't build a very high peak on a house. It's going to be unstable and it's going to be likely to fall down. What happens to us as cyclists, we get injured, we get sick, but what we do is we put a limit on our peak performance. We limit our potential if we're not spending enough time in the gym. So I want to take you through a little bit of a sample of what our strength and conditioning program looks like, because it's different than anything you've seen before. It's a program that we built in conjunction with academics, but it's built primarily by cyclists for cyclists. So no more taking advice off those, bodybuilding meat lifter dudes down the gym. So I'm going to let you peek behind the scenes at our periodized step-by-step strength and conditioning program. The first exercise in this, it's a dynamic stretch. We normally use this pre-session, just before we get stuck into the session. And it's band pull-aparts. So when we're on the bike, we're in this hunched over position all the time. And when we're sitting at the table, like I am now, on the desk, in the car, in work, we're still in this bent over position all the time. So this band pull apart, by standing on the base of the band and retracting your shoulders, it's going to give you a full range of motion. We call this a dynamic stretch. So we're going through a full range of motion without holding a stretch in any particular period. It's a scapular retraction. The second exercise I wanted to show you inside our little members area is the squat, the humble squat. But we've made adaptations to both the technique and to the tempo of a lot of these exercises. So you'll notice on this squat that it's a heels elevated position. So what this does is it forces additional pressure onto the ball of the foot, exactly where the cleat is positioned. Because if you think about when we sprint, we don't sprint with the cleat on our heels, we sprint with the cleat right on the ball of our foot. Also, the elevated heel position, it helps with knee tracking and it helps give a little bit extra stimulus onto inside your thigh, your VMO. So with this and with all the other exercises inside the plan, we've applied the theory of specificity. So the demands of cycling are mimicked within the demands of this exercise plan, because that's been a problem for years. Guys have been in deadlifting huge weight, but how do we apply this back to the bike? So this is an evolution of those exercise plans. The next one I've chosen, it's a glute activation exercise, mini band walks. So the idea with this is this exercise will fire up your glute muscle, which is the biggest muscle in your body. And you can think about this just like a sleeping giant. This is an exercise this is a muscle you haven't engaged at all at the moment. It's lying dormant. So by doing these band walks, you're going to activate this and you're going to unleash power you didn't even know was there. Also, cycling, we're very one directional, moving forward all the time. So with this lateral movement, it's going to give you that little bit of extra stimulus as well. So far in this series, what I've done is I've debunked that myth around endurance training, that we have to ride these crazy long hours in the winter, exposing ourselves to hours away from family, work, exposing ourselves to sickness and just the danger of being out on poorly lit roads. I've also shown you the importance of building a super strong foundation in this video. Without that strong foundation, we limit how high the peak can be. I need you to stay tuned for the next installment of this video series, because in this next installment, I'm going to walk you through how you can build a mental toolbox this toolbox is going to equip you with sort of a mental fortitude, which will mean you'll never quit on a training session or a training plan, and you'll definitely never abandon a race. So sports psychologists, they're so powerful. They're such a powerful tool now with professional cyclists, and I want to make that available to you guys as a tool, because as I said in the previous video, just completion of this training plan guarantees you success. So the hurdle previously has been people weren't getting through the 4-month winter blueprint, but with this we believe we're going to have almost zero drop-off rate. So let me know in the comments down below if you've ever worked with a sports psychologist before, how you found that, because I've never heard somebody that has a negative meeting with one of them. It's always life-changing and transformational. And also, don't forget that link down below if you want to check out more about this winter blueprint system and how you can transform, how it will transform you this season, is just down below.